Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
A Wake County family is praying for a miracle after a deadly crash killed a couple and severely injured their son. What we're also learning about the driver blamed for the crash.
Police are investigating after two people defaced the bell tower on NC State's campus. The act caught by NC State's camera.
The stakes are high in a Manhattan courtroom where closing arguments are underway in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial. Busy noontime hour here. An 8-year-old boy from Garner is in the hospital in critical condition after a car crash that killed his parents on Memorial Day. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Police say an impaired driver ran a red light and slammed into the family's car. WRAL's Matt Tallhelm is live in Garner where that crash happened. Matt, I understand you spoke with relatives of this family today. What a devastating, heartbreaking loss.
Yeah, Renee, they are heartbroken, sobbing when I talked to them at the family's home. The couple and their son live just about 2.5 miles from the intersection here of US 70 and New Rand Road. This is where that crash happened. Right now, family members, I'm told, are at WakeMed Hospital. That is where that little 8-year-old boy right now is fighting for his life, and I am told from them that they are praying for a miracle. They did share some photos of the family with me here. You can see Tyler and Susan Campbell smiling with their 8-year-old son, Miles. He's in his baseball uniform. I'm told he loves baseball. Miles and his parents were in their Mazda driving on New Rand Road when police say a Chevy Trailblazer on Highway 70 ran a red light and slammed into them. Tyler and Susan Campbell died in the crash. He was 28 years old. She was 29. Family members tell me the couple both went to NC State and they stayed here in the area after college. Relatives shared this statement with me. They say Miles is in critical condition and they are telling us his chances of survival are slim, but we are still praying for a miracle. The driver of that Trailblazer, 25-year-old Jordan Alexander Porter, is charged with driving while impaired. Garner police say more charges are expected as this investigation continues. The driver of that car was taken to the hospital also with what are described as minor injuries. We are working to learn more about what those charges may look like and how this all happened here.
Matt, we are praying for that miracle as well. Matt Tallhelm, live in Garner.
We're waiting for more information about an overturned water truck that shut down part of a road in Durham County this morning. This water truck was flipped over on its side, closing this part of Leesville Road near Carpenter Pond Road. You can see firefighters using axes to drain the water from the truck. The road reopened around 9:30 this morning. No one was hurt. We're also waiting to learn if a woman will be charged for an early morning crash near Capitol Boulevard. Witnesses say the driver was going the wrong way on the exit ramp before driving down a hill and flipping onto the highway. The car landed on its roof. This is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. Raleigh police say the woman was hurt in the crash but is expected to be okay.
Today, police are working to figure out who vandalized the NC State bell tower just after 1:30 this morning. WRAL was there as crews removed the graffiti. WRAL's Destiny Patterson is live now at the bell tower. And Destiny, we've since discovered the vandals were caught on camera.
That's right, Renee. Crews were out here for about an hour and a half working to remove that graffiti, but there are still remnants that are visible here. I want you to take a look. You can see where red paint was splattered on the steps. And up this way, you can actually faintly see where it says Gaza. Now, if you take a look at this video, you can actually see two people wearing all black. They're spray painting on the bell tower, and you can actually see where they put Free Palestine. Now, I talked to somebody in the area. He lives nearby, and he says that he's shocked to learn that this happened.
I know that protest is important, and I believe in that, but I don't think vandalism sort of helps any cause. That's sort of a public monument, like that's for all of us, and it's just a damage. It's hurtful.
Now, I want to give you guys a little bit of background. This bell tower, of course, is known very well by NC State students and alum, but it's also a memorial to honor NC State alumni who fought and died in World War I. And this happened, of course, early this morning, just one day after Memorial Day. The university spokesperson says that they're still working to identify who those vandals are. Renee?
Destiny Patterson live at the bell tower. The international outcry is growing over Israel's airstrike on a camp for displaced Palestinians in Rafah. At least 45 people were killed, many of whom were women and children. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the strike, which called 2 senior Hamas officials a tragic error. But he said he would not end the war in Gaza until the military's goals were completed.
A dozen jurors will soon decide former President Donald Trump's fate in the Manhattan hush money trial. Today, they are hearing one last time from prosecutors and defense attorneys. Rebecca Castor reports.
After more than 4 weeks of testimony, Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial is coming to a close. But first, attorneys have one last chance to make their case. Former President Donald Trump's fate in his Manhattan criminal trial will soon be in the hands of a dozen jurors. Prosecutors and defense attorneys are making their final pitches to the panel on Tuesday.
We'll see how it goes. This is a very dangerous day for America. It's a very sad day.
Trump attorney Todd Blanche is targeting the credibility of the prosecution's star witness, Michael Cohen, and reminding jurors of his admitted lies through the years. Cohen testified that Trump directed him to pay hush money to adult film star Stormy Daniels to silence her before the 2016 election. Defense lawyers say Cohen acted alone and that Trump repaid him for actual legal services.
We hope that the jury stands up for what's right, objectively reviews the evidence that's actually been introduced at trial, and if they do so, we believe we'll get an acquittal.
But prosecutors argue bank statements, emails, and phone records back up Cohen's testimony. They get the last word Tuesday as they try to convince jurors Trump is guilty of the 34 felony counts against him.
Prosecutors put on a great deal of evidence that in 2016 and even rolling into 2017, Donald Trump seemed to have the intentions to kill the Stormy Daniels story, to protect his reputation as a celebrity, as a family man.
That was Rebecca Castor reporting. Closing arguments are expected to take the entire day, and jurors could begin deliberations as soon as tomorrow.
Today, Durham teachers and school employees will rally for more funding for raises. They plan to march ahead of the public budget hearing at the Durham County building tonight. They want the county commission to fully support the Durham School Board's request for additional funding. Employees say the full amount of funding is needed to keep school staff from leaving for other jobs. The public budget hearing gets started at 7 tonight. Well, after a long holiday weekend, Wall Street mixed as the markets await inflation data. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down about 160 points, but S&P 500 very little traction, but in the green, up about 5 points, and NASDAQ advancing 90 points at this hour.
Crews will start cleanup today in Rodanthe at the Outer Banks after another house collapsed into the ocean. WRAL's Noah Klein is here now. Noah, this keeps happening. Another instance of this same exact thing happening.
Time and time again, we've told you about this. This is a picture of that home. You can see parts of it here on the shore and then the main structure, the house itself, getting into the ocean. This happened on Ocean Drive in Rodanthe. Cape Hatteras National Seashore officials say that house likely collapsed around 2:30 this morning. Important to note, no one was inside. About a mile section of the beach is closed for cleanup. It's too dangerous for visitors with all that debris scattered on the beach and floating in the water. This is the 6th house to come down in the Rodanthe area over the past 4 years. The coastline, meanwhile, it's shrinking. It exposes homes that were once well off the shore. Experts say climate change is contributing to more tropical storms and hurricanes, causing some of that erosion. Again, you see more of this video here. We've showed you time and time again what happens, and we're looking forward to the future here and what we can expect as the climate continues to warm. Environmental experts say the threat to homes in that area is only going to increase. Our climate change reporter, Liz McLaughlin, is also following this story for us today. She'll explain more about what happened and what we can expect to see in the future. That's tonight on our evening news. Jeff?
Yeah, we see other houses that are lined up there in that danger zone, right ready. All right, Noah, thank you. Friends, family, and NBA fans are remembering NBA Hall of Famer and broadcaster Bill Walton. He passed away at the age of 71 from cancer. Walton was larger than life in more ways than just his nearly 7-foot height. Overnight, the Celtics honored the former star after sweeping the Pacers, capturing the Eastern Conference title. In the early 1970s, Walton won 2 national titles under UCLA coach John Wooden. After being drafted first overall by the Portland Trailblazers in 1974, he led that team to its only championship in franchise history. He revitalized his game on the Celtics' legendary 1986 championship team, and after retiring, he pivoted to broadcasting.
The flames of the Olympic torch passed through the renowned vineyards of the Bordeaux region in France. 900 million bottles of the famous red wine are made there annually. Residents welcomed the torch after security concerns arose amid a knife attack that killed one person in April. The relay is expected to arrive in Paris in mid-July. Be sure to tune in to WRAL for Olympic action starting July 26th. WRAL's Liz McLaughlin will be bringing us stories that matter.
Next at noon, imagine this. People on a flight from Jamaica to Florida were told to prepare for a possible water landing. What happened shortly after takeoff that prompted that announcement?
Also bumped off a surfboard by a shark. The latest incident that has some questioning their safety in the ocean.
Plus, the Israeli offensive continues in Gaza. How tanks have now moved into the city of Rafah against international pressure to stop the fighting. Elizabeth.
And I'm out on the patio where it is on the toasty side, but we've had a cold front come through and gradually that's going to drop our humidity and our temperatures. It is going to be a lovely week to spend some time outside at the golf course or elsewhere. I'll show you when our temperatures will feel the coolest coming up.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
A record number of people traveled by air this Memorial Day weekend, signaling a busy summer travel season. But along with the record numbers, there were a few scares as well. A United Airlines plane aborted takeoff Monday after the engine caught fire. Dramatic video shows smoke coming from one of the wings. That's the wrong video there. It happened around 2 o'clock at Chicago O'Hare Airport. Everyone made it off safely, and the cause is now under investigation. So that wasn't the only travel scare in the air this holiday weekend. Spirit Airlines says a flight from Jamaica to Florida became a scene of panic when passengers were told to prepare for a possible water landing. The plane experienced a mechanical problem right after takeoff. The pilot was able to return safely to Montego Bay, and then everyone boarded another plane. The airline apologized to the passengers and says the plane will be inspected to find out what caused it.
The Memorial Day weekend marks the beginning of beach season, and with that, a warning about early shark sightings. A surfer came face to face with a shark at a popular Southern California beach. A Surfline camera captured the moment the aggressive 4 to 6 foot shark knocked him off his surfboard. The man made it back to shore and told lifeguards, who shut down the beach for the rest of the weekend. Sam Brock reports a modest uptick in shark attacks and fatalities has some questioning their safety in the water.
As beachgoers across the country begin to soak up the warmer weather on the sand and in the sea.
Yeah, we're at the beach for the start of the summer, right?
Marine experts have fresh warnings about the rare but potential dangers that could be lurking beneath the water. Right before the holiday weekend, a flag from the New England Aquarium urging the public to be aware of their surroundings after reports of multiple marine mammals found with white shark bites off of Massachusetts coastline.
It is very much a wild environment anytime you're entering the ocean.
Unprovoked shark attacks and fatalities are up worldwide. The U.S. had 36 such attacks last year, accounting for more than half of the 69 incidents across the globe, and a jump from the average of 63 the previous 5 years.
If you are swimming in an area where there are large sharks feeding on large prey items, you know there's an element of risk.
The state of Florida experienced 16 unprovoked shark bites in 2023, at least double any other state.
Swim near the lifeguard because we can tell you what's going on, what's safe around that area.
Earlier this month, researchers captured footage of a rare white shark swimming about 30 miles off the coast of Alabama, the first known sighting in that area recorded by scientists. Groups like OSearch have been tagging sharks for research purposes and also for real-time updates about the predator's whereabouts. Last month, 2 white sharks pinged off the Atlantic coast of Florida, the sharks appearing to head north for the summer season.
Water has sharks in it, but I mean, we've been swimming here for years. I think everybody will be safe this summer.
While in New York, drones now deployed to spot sharks from above in the hopes of taking a bite out of potential attacks. Last month, 24-year-old Marlon Wakeman was bitten by 2 sharks in a marina in the Bahamas after slipping off a fishing boat into the water.
He grabbed my left leg, kind of pulled me into the water, and at that point, my head went underwater.
He's since recovered from his injuries, but Wakeman knows how lucky he is to be alive.
They can and will kill you. I got very lucky.
It seems like a playground for us, but it's their home, and it is a wild environment, like they said.
Yes, the reality is when you go into ocean waters, the company around you, not just humans, there could be other things lurking in the water. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is enjoying the beautiful sunshine out there that she had to get out on the WRAL weather patio. Elizabeth.
It is gorgeous out here. Now, when we take a look at the temperatures, yes, it is warming up, but of course it's not as humid as it was over the weekend. Now, it doesn't feel like, April at the moment, but it's going to. We're going to see this big change compared to what we saw over the weekend with all the mugginess and the thunderstorms and just a real oppressive summer-like pattern. That is on its way out right now. So here's a live look at the gardens. We had some folks, we still do have some folks over there taking pictures. It is graduation season, so I think we've got maybe a graduate over there taking some pictures, and it is so pretty for that is for sure. We'll take a look at our temperatures as we're headed out this afternoon. Right now it is 83 degrees. Our winds are variable at 6 miles per hour, but we're going to start to see that wind coming out of the northwest, and that flow is typically a little cooler and drier for us, and that's what's going to help to bring everything down just a little bit. Now, it's still going to be a hot afternoon, looking at 87, 88 for our temperatures as we get into the middle of the afternoon. Right now it is 77 up in Roxborough, so that's the coolest spot. It's already 85 in Fayetteville and 86 degrees in Clinton. A little bit warmer than it was this time yesterday in most places, anywhere from maybe 3 to 6 degrees warmer, because we did have the cloud cover and the showers to begin with yesterday, and of course even into the early to mid-afternoon in some places. Looking at a high of 88 this afternoon in Durham and Raleigh and 90 in Fayetteville, but we are seeing our humidity starting to drop off a little bit. It's going to be a fantastic week, especially say Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Those are going to be the most comfortable days. So some gardening, some car washing, which kind of sounds like work to me. I kind of like the exercising or even the pool idea. We're going to have some gorgeous weather, and it really stays with us into the weekend. You see the yellow shaded areas, that's where temperatures have been just a little bit above normal. And then we move ahead, move the map forward, and you can see the blue areas start to take over, and that's where temperatures are below normal. And we're going to start to see that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and that's going to make it feel just so much better. So once we see that, temperatures are going to drop down to around 80 for the high, and we'll see that, as I mentioned, all the way into the weekend. Now we get into, say, early next week, and our temperatures will begin to bump back up again. We're looking at just some really nice weather. We want to talk about our humidity, our dew point, and that, of course, is feeling a little more comfortable. We've dropped it down from steamy toward tolerable. We're looking at comfy to refreshing as we get into the remainder of the week. So we're in that comfy zone Wednesday and Thursday, refreshing on Friday, and by Sunday we jump back up to humid. And for lunch outside, it's not bad out here. I mean, it's a little bit on the warm side, a little bit sticky. It's just that, it's going to be so much nicer for the remainder of the week, especially Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And look at those temperatures in the mid-50s. That is going to feel glorious. Coming up, we'll talk about how long this pattern may stick around.
Elizabeth, thanks. Well, with this gorgeous weather, you'll probably feel like grilling, right? Well, coming up at 5 on your side shows you how to clean your grill properly before using it to cook your favorite summer staples.
Plus, new documents obtained in a public records request show NC State asked the CDC to reinvestigate Poe Hall just hours after a no-confidence vote for Chancellor Randy Woodson. What else we're learning in these documents tonight at 6. Plus, still ahead this noon, what was once seen as a rite of passage appears to be getting a hard pass from Gen Z teens. What some analysts say may be behind this shift.
Plus, the number of children being diagnosed with ADHD is on the rise. The findings of the most recent study by the CDC and what could be contributing to the bump. Welcome back. You're looking live at Chapel Hill. Look at those pretty clouds in the Carolina blue sky. Nothing but sunshine and no weather alerts to worry about today. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. The box office continued to struggle over the long Memorial Day weekend, and the holiday was a record setter for air travel. Those are among today's business headlines with Maribel Aber.
Memorial Day weekend saw the busiest day of air travel ever in the U.S. The TSA says it screened more than 2.95 million people at airports Friday as the weekend got underway. That's the most in a single day and tops the previous record set Sunday after Thanksgiving last year. And it continued the trend of strong demand for air travel this year. The TSA says 5 of the top 10 busiest travel days in its history have occurred in 2024. Boeing says its Starliner spacecraft is safe to fly astronauts to the International Space Station despite a helium leak. The Starliner is a program between Boeing and NASA and is scheduled to launch 2 astronauts to the space station June 1st. A small leak was recently discovered in the craft's propulsion system. Boeing termed the leak stable and said it wasn't a safety of flight issue. The Starliner program is playing catch up to Elon Musk's SpaceX, which has been taking astronauts to the space station since 2020. It was the worst Memorial Day weekend for movies in nearly 30 years. Ticket sales for the weekend totaled just $128 million, according to ComScore. Excluding the pandemic in 2020, it was the lowest total for Memorial Day since 1995. Furiosa, the latest Mad Max installment, took the #1 spot over the Thursday through Monday period with $32 million. That was enough to top the Garfield movie, which rang up $31.1 million in ticket sales. And those are your business headlines. I'm Maribel Aber at the NASDAQ Market Site.
Remember when you just couldn't wait to turn 16 so you could get your driver's license? It appears some teens aren't so anxious to get behind the wheel. New data reveals Gen Zers ages 19 and under represent less than 4% of licensed drivers in the U.S. Meantime, millennials ages 30 to 34 are more likely to drive. One automotive expert believes rising repair costs, rideshare apps, and public transportation are reasons for the shift. Federal Trade Commission says Best Buy was the most impersonated company by scammers in 2023. The FTC says customers lost $15 million to Best Buy and Geek Squad related scams last year. One example is you may get an email saying a computer service you never signed up for is about to renew. Amazon, PayPal, Microsoft, and Publishers Clearinghouse round out the top 5 favorites for scammers.
iPhone users may get AI-generated emojis and more customizable apps when Apple launches iOS 18 later this year. Those are among the features Apple will show off at its annual developers conference next month. Apple is reportedly developing software that can create custom emojis on the fly based on what users are texting. Users will also get the ability to change the color of app icons and arrange things more easily rather than being locked into the grid layout.
Israel ignores calls by the international community to dial back the attacks in Rafah, the latest action prompting renewed calls for ceasefire talks.
Plus, a Triangle chef is a 2-time James Beard semifinalist. The James Beard Awards are like the Oscars of the restaurant industry. The surprising backlash that came with the honor. But first, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Israeli tanks reached the city center of Rafah for the first time, defying international pressure to stop an offensive.
This all comes as search and rescue efforts continue in a tent camp in Rafah following a deadly strike by Israelis. NBC's Raf Sanchez has reports from Tel Aviv.
An NBC News crew in Gaza confirming that Israeli tanks have now pushed into the heart of Rafah. We're awaiting comment from the White House, but this could violate President Biden's red line that Israel should not mount an all-out assault on the city. And it comes just days after that deadly Israeli strike on a camp for displaced people. Israel says it killed 2 senior Hamas leaders in a compound inside that camp. But the strike causing a fire that ripped through tents made of wood and plastic where families were sleeping. At least 45 people killed, according to the emergency services in Hamas-run Gaza. Many hundreds reported to have been wounded. Now, here in Tel Aviv's Hostage Square, people are hoping that efforts by the United States to revive ceasefire talks may bear fruit this week. Raf Sanchez, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
The U.S. military is temporarily halting deliveries to Gaza by sea after its pier suffered damage in bad weather. Officials say there was damage to the military's causeway on the Gaza beach, which receives the aid after it's initially unloaded on the temporary pier. A UN official says it could take a week to repair. A U.S. service member remains in critical condition in an Israeli hospital after suffering non-combat injuries on the pier last week. Pope Francis apologized today for reportedly using a vulgar term about gays during a closed-door meeting. Italian media quoted unnamed Italian bishops saying the Pope jokingly used the term while speaking in Italian. Sources say the Pope made the remark when telling the gathering that gay men should not be allowed to be priests. The pontiff has been known for his outreach to LGBTQ+ Catholics.
1 in 9 children in the U.S. has been diagnosed with ADHD at some point in their lives. In 2022, the CDC found 7 million children had been diagnosed with ADHD. That is an increase of 1 million kids from 2016. Researchers believe one reason for the increase could be public awareness has changed over time as more children may be getting correctly diagnosed with ADHD. Swedish researchers are trying to determine if tattoos could increase a person's risk for developing lymphoma. Scientists studied 11,000 people between the ages of 20 and 60. Nearly 3,000 of them had lymphoma. The study found the risk of developing lymphoma was 21% higher among those who were inked. The risk was also highest among those who had their first tattoo less than 2 years prior. Researchers now plan to examine whether there is a link between tattoos and other forms of cancer.
A chef nominated for a James Beard Award 2 years in a row is owning and embracing her South Asian roots. Preeti Was is the force behind Chini in downtown Durham. In recognition of AAPI Heritage Month, I sat down with Was to talk about her unconventional path to culinary excellence. The journey for Preeti Was to go from stay-at-home mom to restaurant owner started with a simple desire.
I just like to cook. And I like to feed people.
With dishes she loved to eat growing up in India and missed here in North Carolina.
I never intended to open an Indian restaurant, ever. I didn't think I was a good cook of Indian cuisine.
Was was busy raising her 2 daughters while her husband navigated his demanding job. In 2011, his job brought the family to RTP. Fast forward to 2022, empty nest syndrome hit her hard.
I kid you not, I opened Chini because both my daughters had left home and I didn't want to eat dinner home alone. And I was so sad to not have enough people to cook for.
That restaurant was Chini Indian Food Emporium in North Raleigh. It was a small, casual cafe and shop where you order at the counter. The food earned Was her first James Beard nomination for Best Chef in the Southeast.
Maybe they had to check off a box for AAPI, for whatever. Or DEI, whatever, because I was told that. I was told that by a few people. Unfortunately, I agreed with them because I'm a home cook, Renee. I'm not culinarily trained. I've never even worked in a restaurant like this.
The prestigious honor drew crowds, and some were disappointed by the humble cafe.
But when people saw James Beard attached to Chini Indian Food Emporium, they came with their own expectations of it. And so we got eviscerated online by so many reviews like, what do you mean this is James Beard?
The North Raleigh restaurant closed in April. Chini Durham has an open kitchen, larger dining space to serve more of what she loves.
I have found a community, Renee, through food, especially here in North Carolina, that I have never had.
Was opened Chini Durham last year on her 51st birthday. And now she sees her daughters all the time. Both are very involved with the restaurant. Earlier this year, Was learned she was nominated for Best Southeast Chef again.
Now I tell myself that I'm not questioning whether I belong on that list or not. If someone decided to put me there, I'm going to take it and I'm going to own it.
She says that's not what defines her.
I'm a mom. I'm a woman. I'm an Asian American woman. And I love that I get to be this in America.
She's owning it and she's rocking it. The James Beard Awards ceremony is June 10th in Chicago. And Was is one of several chefs selected to cook for the ceremony, a huge honor to cook for your peers. She's the only chef from North Carolina ever to be invited to cook for the James Beard ceremony. And Jeff, I think she was even more excited to be selected for that than for the honor itself. But Chini, the restaurant, the name is Sugar in Hindi, and her first love is baking. So you got to check out the dessert menu as well.
She's so homegrown, it feels, right, with such an international flair for it. And the only one in North Carolina with the history that we have of chefs, that's a pretty amazing feat.
And I told her she should give a TED Talk because she's truly inspiring. She talked about how when she hit 50 and all this is happening for her, she says the best is yet to come, living her best decade yet.
Don't listen to what the others were saying. Just you do you.
That's
good
right.
Stuff. Hope is fading. Meantime, finding survivors days after a massive landslide in Papua New Guinea. The challenges recovery crews face in dealing with the disaster that killed 2,000 people.
And it's already typhoon season. The danger is unfolding in the Philippines. We appreciate you watching right now. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device. Hope of finding survivors following deadly landslides in Papua New Guinea are fading. More than 2,000 people are believed to have been buried alive following a landslide last Friday. Officials have been unable to determine the exact casualty figures for the disaster. Blocked access and a lack of adequate equipment have also made search and rescue attempts challenging. More than 150 homes have been buried by the landslide. At least 7 people are dead. Thousands more are displaced following a deadly typhoon in the Philippines. The powerful typhoon caused major flooding in Lucena City, where police had to conduct several rescues. Police say at least 6 villagers drowned in the flooding. A 7th died after being hit by a falling tree.
Cleanup is underway in Kentucky, with millions of Americans across the country also dealing with unimaginable damage. Several houses were demolished, vehicles flipped over, power knocked out. One couple in their 90s rode out a tornado sitting in their bed after they couldn't make it down to their basement in time. Family members say miraculously that couple is okay. Nationwide, the death toll is now at least 24 people killed, 5 in Kentucky alone. More severe weather rolled through parts of North Texas, wreaking havoc there. This was damage to one building after the powerful storms hit. More than 500,000 homes and businesses lost power. Forecasters warn of large hail, damaging winds, and localized flooding in some parts of Dallas even yet today.
Does this house look familiar? If you're a fan of the 90s classic Home Alone, you recognize it. How much it will cost to call this mansion Home Sweet Home.
One of North Carolina's top-rated festivals returns this weekend, and you're guaranteed to have a wild time. We'll talk to the organizer of the NC Bear Festival about what you can expect at this year's event. You can come party like an animal at the National Black Bear Festival in Plymouth, North Carolina. Organizers are celebrating the 10th anniversary of the event this weekend, and you're invited. So joining us to talk about this wildly successful event that it has been, Tom Harrison, the director. Thank you so much for stopping in.
It's great to be here.
It is awesome to have you, especially talking about this. North Carolina is home to the world's largest population and the largest black bears. So
it is.
What prompted you to start this whole event?
Well, it was an idea that I had 10 years ago to educate people about this little-known North Carolina superlative. You know, we've got the largest bears and the highest black bear densities on the coast. People associated with the mountains. But because of all the big farms and forests and the ideal habitat, it's really on the coast is where the bear concentration is. Some of them weigh as much as 1,000 pounds. And Plymouth is right on Highway 64 going to the Outer Banks. And what a lot of people don't realize is just 6 blocks off the highway is a half-mile of waterfront, the Roanoke River Delta, with over 50 miles of shoreline within 5 miles of Plymouth. And that's where we host this event with over 40 activities. And it's an ideal setting. We have this year the Inner Banks Harbor Towns has got paddle wheel riverboat that we're going to be doing 8 different cruises, a jazz cruise with a John Brown band, and birthday bash cruise because it's our 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
So we're having lots of fun activities.
Been doing it for a decade, so you're no rookie at this. The event's been recognized as the best event in North Carolina 4 times out of the 10 years. What sets it apart?
I think it's creativity. Well, we always are innovating and doing different things. It's not your typical festival. There's not carnival rides, but there's lots of activities, over 40. And we do a lot on the river, and we have we do wild bear tours, which is something you don't normally have at a festival, and a lot of bear-themed activities for the kids. This year we've got Sigmund Theatrical out of Charlotte coming and doing an actual production during the day. We're delivering 1,200 pieces of cake to kids during the day, every 200 pieces of cake every 2 hours. Just a lot of fun activities with a bear train, an electric bear ride, and we're dropping 300 parachuting plush bears out of the sky for the kids to have for free. So just a lot of fun activities.
That is so cool. And you said more than 40 activities. And the tours, I want to go with you. You said you've seen 120 in an afternoon. So that's pretty cool. What should people know about the bear culture?
Well, first of all, there's no need to be afraid. They have a prey mentality instead of a predator. Their first instinct is to run away. People ask, what should I do if I see a bear? I say, enjoy the moment because it'll soon be a memory.
Right.
But there's nothing to fear from them. And that's part of what we do with our Black Bear Theater, our Bearology Black Bear Museum, and part of what we educate people about at the festival. So it's educational and fun at the same time.
Well, last I saw one was in the mountains, but I had this eerie sense of calm around it. Like we're just kind of living together there. So tickets are still available, folks, at the website nationalbearfest.com. And Tom, I want to thank you for your time here and have a great 10th event, a decade. Good for you.
Thank you.
All right, Tom Harrison.
How about that? Plymouth, North Carolina, home to the world's largest, biggest bears and the highest density of black bears. Just get in your car 2 hours east and you're there in Plymouth, North Carolina. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is a little closer out on the WRAL weather patio. And I suppose the bears are used to this up and down weather here in North Carolina. And I'm sure they'll like it when it cools down this week.
I'm sure, those big, fluffy black coats are probably not great to be running around in. In the summer, I can tell you, having on a short sleeve dress feels really comfortable out here. And especially when the sun is behind the clouds. It was behind the clouds just a minute ago, and it felt so nice. We'll take another look at the gardens, and it's just beautiful out here. The gardens, of course, are known for the azaleas. But one of the things that the gardeners have done over the last few years is plant a lot of hydrangeas. And I can see them from here. They're just absolutely gorgeous, all scattered out through the azalea garden. So it's still a wonderful place to be. And of course, open to the public. Come on out. Maybe sometime this week when the temperatures are going to be feeling pretty pleasant. Of course, as we move on ahead, we'll take a look at what's happening out there. And we'll start off with satellite and radar. And we've had this cold front move across the area. That cold front is what's going to deliver the potential for some much more pleasant air to move into the region. So we'll widen out the view. There are some thunderstorms that are back to the west of us, but those are not headed our way. We're going to see that high pressure system building in and bringing us clear skies for the next several days, some cooler temperatures. Our wind will start to come out of the northwest, and that's going to feel really nice. So check out Futurecast, and just a few clouds showing up now, but for the most part, we're going to end up seeing a lot of sunshine for the remainder of the day today, and our chances of showers and thunderstorms for the rest of this week are really minimal. There's 5 p.m., and you can see a mix of sun and clouds, and we'll continue to see that on through the evening. Yard work planner. It's going to be a great week for yard work. Not maybe my favorite thing, but Gerald Owens loves it. He's out there riding around on his tractor. We have 0% chance of rain all the way through the weekend, so it's a good week for outdoor projects, especially this weekend. And it's okay if we don't see any rain because we're doing just fine. Our drought monitor has wiped the slate clean except for just a little bit of northeastern North Carolina. And when you look at our viewing area, we're anywhere from about 120 to over 160% of our normal rainfall for May. A complete about face compared to what we saw in April. We were really running behind in April, and now we have caught up. So everything looks good. As we look ahead for the next couple of weeks, we're looking at the chance, just a slight chance of above normal precipitation and really right around normal in terms of temperature. So not bad. Our normal temperature for today is 85. And so it doesn't look like we have a big heat wave in our forecast anytime between now and June 11th. So we'll take it. And did you see this? If you haven't seen the 7-day forecast yet today, check this out. 81 Thursday, 80 Friday, 82 on Saturday with low humidity. And we're going to start the morning with temperatures in the 50s Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That Saturday morning, 54 degrees. I'm eyeing that for a nice morning run. It's going to feel fantastic. Back to y'all.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Calling one lucky lottery winner. Lucky would be an understatement, right? But the big payoff after a big mistake.
Here's a look at your winning Powerball numbers: 9, 30, 39, 49, 59, and the Powerball is 21. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
An 8-year-old boy from Garner is in the hospital in critical condition after a car crash that killed his parents on Memorial Day. Relatives shared these photos of Tyler and Susan Campbell smiling with their son Miles. 25-year-old Jordan Porter is charged with driving while impaired. Garner police say more charges are expected.
Today, police are working